It burns hot August sun. On at the crossroads stand a gatehouse with baskets of small early apples, bunches of greens and tomatoes, and my crooked cucumbers, whom you gave birth to. Basil stopped and bought half a kilo of tomatoes and parsley salads. A woman seems to be asking. In a hurry after the shift, Mr. Ortiz was waiting for him in the garage. They spent almost 3 more hours in the big gray car and finally finished. Mr. Ortiz dialed the owner of the rarity and happily announced that he could take his swallow, and then dialed the next client, who asked to see him with the same ghoul. "We've talked too much for tomorrow." By Mr. Ortiz called, Basil, I washed my hands and hurried home. Almost forgot about potion tomatoes, but came back just in time. At home, I was waiting for a frying pan of fried potatoes and Pretty. And Madison, well, and where are you? I already looked at all eyes, and the potatoes are cold. I am preparing for your arrival, and don't give you tomatoes all the way home. Bought, Basil said wearily, handed her a bag of greens. Yes, see, what did you buy? Really, they've been in line for so long but now on every corner for sale. Herrings cut you, and Dima heated up a frying pan by hand. Basil already changed clothes, we are in hand. Oklo, where everyone grumbled in the kitchen, cut bread and salad. Husband came and pounced on a hot golden potato. He really loved that, fried, with onion and herring for salad. She is indifferent. Madison, watching a hungry husband, suggested pouring cold, but he shook his head. I left. Go early tomorrow morning. Madison restrained surprise. That noticed a long time ago, that the husband often stays late after work and drink less, more tired, stay at home less. If would you come under, then everything would be clear with the men. How often does it happen? Then Ann Madison would be unhappy, but at least calmly. Basil was so laconic, and then it became completely closed. She tried to ask him. The UN keeps silent, does not say anything. This began to disturb the vigilant Madison. They are not young anymore. If it happens, what a man, it's easier, she who will need the 3R do not need nobody, her Basil scabbard. At this age. Men are crazy. PTV shows how much a man under 50, and he turns you on a girl, marries a 20-year-old, she is his daughter, if his granddaughter is no good. They have a lot of love, light, the size of his apartment. Bank account. Basil, they didn't have an apartment, they didn't have a bank account, but age has come. Dangerous. Madison, I tried to take care of my appearance. Creams bought all sorts, smeared face masks, hair dyed natural, so that without a single eggplant of their shades. Although I gotta do some sports, pull up the figure. But I decided to go on a diet. Long tortured myself. Without sweet, without baking, without fried meat and potatoes. It was especially hard without pancakes and pancakes. First, lose weight in those places, which husband liked the most. Just big and not sagging. I liked it. And lately he hasn't paid much attention to her. One answer, tired all. When Madison understood that there will soon be nothing left in the bra at all, and Dad, how is it there is a round yin centimeter? Not thinner, she abandoned diets and began to quickly gain her kilogram. I then changed my mind and tried to stop. Now trying not to overeat. Workers of smaller bread. And now she was more angry not at her husband and at his being late for dinner. She fried potatoes all evening, and then slowly waited from the pan for a little bit more until he came. Here it turns out that I didn't hold back, ate fried food, but at the same time, I didn't eat normally. But how can some people eat and not get fat? I hear he will find Basil some built-in flirt and everyone will leave her alone in her old age. Because they always lived soul to soul. And raised children, grandchildren waited. Is it true? Sons away, but parents don't forget, they call all the time. Yes, and daughters-in-law, they are good, respectful. Granddaughters are so cute, just little princesses, seems, live and be happy. But who understands these guys today one, tomorrow another? But that's what will happen if they can get divorced. How will she tell her sons? What will the bridesmaids think? How will she be alone in Basel? Something is obviously going on. We have changed for a month already. I'm Madison, though it doesn't show, but notes everything about himself, sees everything suspicious in her husband's behavior and thinks it over. Lies at night, looking at the ceiling, and a variety of thoughts come into my head. Here and today came from somewhere tired and taciturn, lingered for a long time. Green, or have mercy on the roads, or sluggish bought without looking. Maybe, to avert eyes, he buys this greenery, for her to think that he is still with her, acts as already found another. But that's the exact one he's some girl running around after work. Madison so vividly imagined a young girl, slim, beautiful, whom her husband hugs after work, that even in the chest it hurt for some reason. Young woman always on my mind keys was a bright blonde with red lips. Arranged would be Bruce, but she understood that is not caught, not a thief, so what's the point of winding yourself up but couldn't twist? Well, what am I to do? How to rearrange the scandal and start to be jealous? How then he will definitely leave, quit and eat and go to another. Wait and endure. So she does it. UN pays no attention, still wandering around after work. For the last 6 months almost never came home on time, but definitely got himself a young. On work friends sympathize with Madison, all accounting is worried. Young the girls tried to say something like trace, find a homeowner and Patley and tear and. But Madison decided not to arrange bloody revenge yet. She didn't understand how it happened, so I couldn't resist. One told another, complained, and now everyone at work knows everything, trying to advise. Even them, who didn't have a husband. Others spoke, they say walk up and come back. Guys, not only young people are loved, they need home comfort and care, habitual rhythm of life. He will soon become a young mistress. He or she from him. He would be some kind of millionaire, then endured for his money, and that bonus is missing. Means not for money, and big pure love for the old cable passes quickly without financial stimulation. Madison listened to the advice of colleagues, but not in a hurry to do anything. Was afraid, what will make it worse, that will completely lose him. Waited, that he himself will come to his senses and return to the family. The new village did not change its behavior, couldn't cope, but still somewhere mysteriously spent time. Mr. Ortiz waits for a friend every evening. It was easier to do the work together. Here and today Volga already taken, paid for repairs, and a new client brought his white Ziguli with traces, showing rust in some places on the body. When Basil came, Mr. Ortiz's work was already in full swing. Basil quickly connected and things went even faster. You know, Mr. Ortiz, a Bruce, maybe, starting to think about something. Saws and saws less, that I come later. Earlier I tried hard to ask, no more questions now, but just look at me askance. But you too. Alone decided, you're not doing anything wrong, but there's not much left. The two of us are doing much better and faster. If you could come on weekends too, then we would have made very good money. But that's good too. Yes, I see myself, what you need in the weekend, but as I go to the shop, let's say so, what will happen only in the evenings? Yes, cold, no problem, we will finish before the weekend. This is it Saturday, I'll take one Muscovite to see, there is little work, I will manage myself in 2 days. Madison received new recommendations at work. Cadre Sheep caused her lunch to take a stroll around the corner to smoke. Is it true that both non-smokers didn't care about Madison? Girls say that your husband is walking. Well, I didn't catch him by the hand, did not hold a candle. One suspicion. I have these, confessed to Madison, even though she was unhappy, that they are already friends and they are spreading rumors all over the office. I didn't tell you that, but one of my friends solved this problem. I wonder how she is. And decided Madison got interested. Only you don't tell anyone, what did I tell you? In general, I had the same problems. Husband was about to leave. She was so desperate, and didn't know what to do, how to save her family. I went to one place, talked to one person. Grandmother Weather asked in surprise clarity, not for grandma, but for a woman. They listened to him, asked for a photo and a personal item, husband recently on the sofa, and Jerusalem candles. Where can I get them? Yes, you can order in the temple, they are sometimes brought. Sells, means. Brought in the photo of her husband and his underpants, she put some herbs on top of the underpants, something else after, put a photo on top. Took a woman's wedding ring, prayed and dripped wax from this candle through the ring in the photo on her underpants. Returned the ring, and she tied her panties from the photo in a knot along with dried grass and something else she put there. The second lit a candle and dripped on top of this bundle, but a bundle of weight, in the bathroom. Third, she said to light a candle in the house and read a prayer. What prayer before any, what do you know? Hide this knot somewhere in the house. Cuttage hides it, then well put it on the mezzanine or shove it somewhere and not touch it. Main, so no one can touch it, especially the husband. But that's not all. A bit for a small bottle. Said to mix in food or drink and all the nonsense and lust will come out of her husband. It happened. Madison, I never really believed in such magic, even argued with those who defended the butterflies. Here it was just in some kind of tea and was already leaning towards, to try. Since this will not harm anyone, it will suddenly help. How good, that warned me to do it on the weekend, when they will be at home. Since then the husband is in shock, how to walk to the left completely. That's for sure, Madison asked incredulously. More precisely cannot be. I know this woman well and saw her husband. A woman wears on his hands, no one wants to look. A woman in him, honestly, quite so, nothing special. It will not help. Yes, what do you have to lose, so at least there will be some chance to return to his family. But, certainly, that's your business. If want, I will give you the address, before it's too late for you. Madison took the address of the house, looked for a photo. I thought to take panties too, but my husband has them all new, but the t-shirts are already very worn, especially the latest, which he took off for washing yesterday. Here she is not sorry. After work Madison went to the temple. To her luck. Jerusalem candles were just on sale, several pieces and inexpensive, how she feared. She didn't even buy 3, and all 6, that were on sale, and went to the address. All was, as she said, and prayers, herbs, and candles. Digging wax through and wedding ring. When the procedure was completed, Madison listened carefully to all instructions, and thanks, took the bundle and went home to Ossoli. As always, delayed. A woman managed to shove the bundle away on the mezzanine, to read a prayer, walk around the apartment with candles and put store-bought dumplings from the freezer to cook. The bottle she hid in the kitchen spice cabinet. Decided to listen. And don't rush to mix it. On Saturday morning Basil noticed, well, laconic today. He expected that Madison would resent his delays again, but she kept silent. Fed delicious dumplings and didn't even offer a glass of cold. But work. What, Lisa, to you? Yes, no, not the end of the month or quarter. Yes, she is always brisk at this time, buzzing, grumbling and getting angry, in order not to get off some overhead, wrong format or something. Here walks pensive, thoughts are far away. He even had to ask, did the sons call? Madison turned over in my mind, and did she do everything right? Did you read the prayer, how the flame of a candle jumped in the room and in the kitchen burned evenly and calmly? It seems, what starts to work. Basil even asked about children, and he had never spoken before. Really takes effect. Madison, I was delighted, and for the first time in a long time I fell asleep calmly and quickly. On the next day Madison, she called the personnel officer in defiance. But how did you find it? Everything is fine. Whispered it conspiratorially. I bought the candles and took an old photo of his t-shirt. Found the address quickly, just had to wait in line. There were people there, she always has people. Sometimes the wait is very long, but it's worth it. Maybe. In general, she did the same, like you. Described a weed prayer switch, tied the knot, and ordered to hide in the house. I then ran home, bundled up on the mezzanine, honored prayers, and lit a candle. So mine came home yesterday, passed. And started asking. Did they call so that already a family of 5 to be interested in the nights, may help? Certainly, will help, you will see, I told you, a bit more, and he won't even look at the other. Encouraged HR support, Madison waited for Saturday to finally solve the problem. Every evening, while she was waiting for her husband, Madison slowly lit the needle of the candle and walked with prayers around the apartment. Fine, then bought them in stock. She became calmer and was already less worried about her husband's delays after work. She started believing that he would indeed leave all his mistresses and return to his lawful wife. Soon all these stresses will end, and their look and pension. Who needs to retire? Which young woman looks at him to whom he, so old, not rich by youth standards? Will only a loving wife needs. I will appreciate and love her, like before, and rejoice that she didn't get herself some hot young matcha. That only men can walk, women also sometimes want passion, romantics. I want to be young and beautiful. Well, or at least with a young and handsome person. On Friday, Basil stayed longer than usual. Madison read prayers until the last candle burns out, after going to cook pasta and fry cutlets. She already set the table when tired Basil came. Madison, I wanted to start sorting things out again, but after the prayer I didn't want to swear. Besides, tomorrow morning she finds him a magic potion. From everyone will come out unhealthy addiction, lust, craving to walk on young women. Basil greedily ate everything, getting old. Started falling asleep. I didn't even watch TV, muttered something that was completely out of whack, and fell into a deep sleep. Madison watched the Friday night program, and when she came to bed, her husband had been snoring for a long time. She lay down and fell asleep, thinking that tomorrow the last step towards reconciliation and the return of the husband to the family will be taken. This pleasant thought, and she fell into a deep sleep, even smiled in my sleep. After a hard week at work, Basil, I thought about getting some sleep, but Madison woke up much later. She realized when the husband was already in the kitchen cutting himself sandwiches and put the kettle on the fire. Madison hastened to fuss over breakfast. I was supposed to pour liquid from a bottle into his tea, thought brew coffee for this, his friend, he will hear a taste there. Basil refused coffee, he's already ready for tea. Basil was such a person, what if he thinks of something? If you decide for yourself, choose one product, then you can't turn it off the chosen path. Tea, and that means tea. Madison herself to blame, should have woken up earlier. They fell almost before dinner in the village, sat and watched how Madison took out the eggs and began to beat the omelette. He liked to eat scrambled eggs in the morning, he still has from his student days. But today he has already prepared sandwiches with cheese and sausage, so he doesn't want eggs anymore. For all these thoughts, Basil noticed that the wife took some strange vial in the closet. He is not there before the video, because he constantly peppers food. There was nothing like that in this closet, he would pay attention. Madison is kind of nervous, frightened. Basil noticed what Madison did not pour tea, as usual, on the table, but took the cups on the cutting table near the stove and began to pour tea. Though she never did that. Husband watching Madison, hiding behind yesterday's newspapers, who didn't get to see, left for the weekend. Madison tried to quietly pour the liquid from the vial into her husband's cup. He pretended that does not notice her secret manipulations, but noticed in which cups part of the unknown additive. Basil sitting and thinking, what's going on? Trying to poison him, but for what? Because of what? Yes, no, just something poured their tea. But why something unknown to that? Pour him in a cup. What should he do now? Drink, put cup aside and pour it out. But then she will try again to pour something into him. No, this problem must be solved once and for all. Basil doubted the correctness of his choice, but saw that the wife was only nervous before making tea, and then became calm and smiling. Basil thought that there was nothing dangerous in the cup. When a woman placed cups on a chair, he casually put down the newspaper, took a sandwich, wanted to take a bite, but then changed my mind. He put the sandwich back, sat, scratched the top of his head, and asked his wife apologetically, "Bruce, we have apricot jam, something I would like to." Sandwich with butter, apricot jam. Apricot of the past no more year, and this year is on the balcony. You haven't tidied up the pantry yet. You bring, and then I don't know where she is while I look. The tea is cold, it will be tasteless. Seedy and drink tea, I'll bring you everything. Basil sat with a cup in his hand and pretended, what's going on now? When only the wife went to the balcony, he quickly changed the cups. Basil perfectly remembered that apricot jam was only on the balcony. He himself carried it there and put it under the strict guidance of his wife. When Madison returned to the kitchen, he had already drunk tea with the first sandwich. Madison opened the jam and put a saucer in front of her husband for him to pick up how much he wanted. Omelette almost cold in the pan. By she fiddled with this jam, Madison put it on a plate and started eating breakfast. She did not notice the change and drank all the tea from the cup. Basil unobtrusively watched his wife. When the tea was drunk, he wanted to ask, but he himself had not yet finished with the sandwiches. So what was the shaft and could not speak, and when I finished breakfast and could talk, my wife had already gone in to vacuum. He did not tear me away from this lesson and decided to wait until the end of the noisy cleaning. But when Madison finished vacuuming, getting ready to put the vacuum cleaner back in place, Basil did not have time to ask her about anything. Face Madison turned pale, sweat came out. Or it was under after vacuuming, Basil didn't know exactly. Saw only how the wife rushed to the side of the toilet. Sat, she's not there for very long, but went out. How did you run back? I did so 4 times. You're all right there, worried Power. Yes, everything is fine, just me, maybe, Rule with something answered by the wife from the toilet. How you could be poisoned, you didn't eat or drink anything, the husband asked the pale wife, who appeared at the door. Not come on, only scrambled eggs and tea. But I fried the eggs, yes, and baked seagulls. And what's the matter? I won't put my mind to it, said Madison and turned back to go back to the toilet. When she staggered out of the toilet and was exhausted and sat on the sofa, Basil, I felt sorry for myself, but he still didn't understand why she wanted to poison him. At least you already knew what. I poured something into the tea. My forehead asked, what tea? I saw, somehow you poured something from a small bottle there, which we did not have at home before. A woman was silent, and had to retire to the toilet again. When she went out, Basil resumed interrogation. Madison no longer had the strength to resist. She decided to tell it like it is, and at the same time find out from my husband, does he have a mistress? If this tool will turn out to bring you back to your family, so that you don't run for women that did not run, asked Power in bewilderment. So that mistress went to me. At home was with his wife. I heard that he ran around the toilets and was at the toilet all the time. So why don't you come out, which the effect of your potion should be, that all your lust will come out of you and you will sit at home. Something I see, that so far only something comes out of you. Maybe it's your lust, I have them. Yes, I have no lust. Almost crying, is it true posted? Lust no, but there is a fool. Here it comes out. I had to come up with this. How did you even come up with this? But what lovers, what lusts do at work, advised to go to Grandma One, and he helps us all to return her husband to the family. Here I took this love potion from her. And you must have a mistress, otherwise where do you disappear almost every evening, so you are still discussing at work that I have a mistress. Boops, you are a fool, Grandma Bruce. A what, isn't there? Yes, no, certainly, I after work at Mr. Ortiz in the garage, I help him earn money by repairing cars. You drop on a fur coat. Your anniversary is upon us. He wanted to do something nice. All women love coats, and you have one. Count Youth. How many years have you been wearing it? Here and got a surprise. You're witch. That's for sure, laxative you bitch. I saw how you poured it into my tea. Sent you for jam, and he changed the cups. So that you are your own magic potion. I saw. But nothing, you will have science, how to suspect a husband and run ask for money. Truth and no love, happy Madison cried, again running to the toilet. By day Madison went to work. She understood that the first thing Vichka's frame would do was approach her. Madison prepared, her husband helped her come up with a true story. Nothing that didn't come to mind, that's why Madison decided what to improvise. The staff was over 40, and her husband was already saving 10, as the woman thought. Staff Nico is already waiting for her. She immediately captivated Madison to the side and stared at her with huge eyes. Well, what this potion is just amazing. Little of that, the husband looks with loving eyes tagging along everywhere, so it also greatly increases the strength of men. On the weekend, it was as if a new month had returned to me. Staff Nico looked at her in disbelief. How it's unhealthy, maybe, not what I live, Grandma Taxi asked. Most the main thing, what is better to drink for both wife and husband, then both will feel young and feel. All forgive. Run away. I need to leave early. Today Mouse promised a romance already set up. Madison went to her workplace. Edge eyes saw, like a frame HIV calling to someone, agree on something. Approximately she disappeared in the middle of the day, and long for an hour. She didn't show up for work the next day. Madison, for the sake of interest, went down to another department where the woman's husband worked. He was also not. We see, the potion worked well. Such love has arrived that they can't part with each other. Something would happen. Toilet in the apartment, and yesterday Basil, I bought a coat. She felt uncomfortable about it, looked away, how she remembered her witchcraft and even blushed. Basil suddenly noticed that Madison not only looked young, but had not lost its former beauty, and from this he wanted to once again touch his wife, hug.